I'm so glad that you are here. Special spooky cyber episode here today, and I hope you're excited for it. It's going to be a great one for another episode of Cloud Talk Live. All right, welcome back, everyone. It's been a few weeks, it seems, since we have done one of these, well, just normal episodes where, you know, I'm back in the saddle, back in the music room, and an incredible guest that I have here to share with you today. As I mentioned before, my name is Jeff DeVerter. I'm the Chief Technology Evangelist for us here at Rackspace Technology, and I would love to know who you are. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourselves. Tell me who you are. Tell me where you are in the world, because this is a global audience. In fact, my guest is global today. He is not here in the US. You're going to learn where he is very, very shortly. Oh, look at all these fun Halloween-themed things going on here. I don't know where in the world you are, but here on the 31st in the US, just like in Houston with Michael, we celebrate Halloween. And all kinds of spooky stuff happens. The kids go out and get a bunch of candy. The dads eat the candy. It's a rite of passage. It's what we do when the kids go to bed. If only I still had kids here at the house, but I don't. That's okay. Hey, Mohit from India, I'm so glad that you are here as well. Hey, folks, if you want to get hold of us over here at Rackspace, get hold of me, maybe Daniel. Daniel's hanging out in the back, pushing all the fancy buttons, making things happen. Well, all you have to do is send an email over to solve@rackspace.com. We all get those emails, so I'd love for you to do that. But first, let's go ahead and talk about some of these great people who follow instructions so very, very well. So Eric is here. Where is Eric? It's San Antonio. Eric, how about this weather? It's cold. I'm ready for some warm to come back. We've got India here. Keith Williams, best answer in 2.5 years, operating from Middle Earth. Absolutely. So where are you? Are you hanging out with Sauron's crew? Are you in Rivendell? Fun fact, earlier career, I used to own a recording studio named, wait for it, Rivendell. That's right. Who else is here? We've got Sean Gardner in the house. Sean, I keep threatening breakfast. We're going to have to go one of these days. But for now, it's just tea. All right, so everyone, I'm so glad that you are here and part of the program. We have, hey, Shal, we're here in the UK, ex-Racker, over at the Financial Times. Very cool. It sounds like an awesome step up. Rackers are everywhere in the world. Sean Gardner, just talked about him. He's moved on from Rackspace, doing some incredible things. We've got Michael Sarah. Oh, he's got a big fancy new job. Sarah, excuse me. Sarah, yeah. All right, so glad that you are here. All right, well, let's plow on with the program, shall we? You guys keep introducing yourselves because you're incredible people. Now, let's talk about some of the things. Last week we had an incredible episode, which was the Solve Summit, all about cyber. Now we're still in the cyber topic today. It's the last day of the month here in the US for cybersecurity awareness. So we're gonna make you even more aware. And all of these things show up over on the podcast, folks. I'd love for you to go download the podcast, subscribe to the podcast. It's called Cloud Talk and can be found anywhere where podcasts are found. So go check those out. Except I've got to update this logo. Stitcher, I don't think it's a thing anymore. It may have gone away in August, and I'm that slow. Anyway, let's talk about the topic today, of course, is cyber. I thought I might share just a couple of cyber tidbits with you, things from the news. And these are things that came out, well, yesterday. So there is a Russian group. You may have heard of them. They're called Lockbit. They're all about the ransomware. Now, they're a Russian-linked ransomware group, and they are one of the most prolific groups that are out there. They account for more than 28% of calendar year 22's attacks. That's right, what did I just say? 22% of it. 28%, excuse me. So these guys are out there. Now, the group is known for making false claims, and its latest claim is that they've got a large-sized trophy to hang on the wall. Now, Lockbit claims to have hacked into one of the world's largest and best-known aerospace manufacturers, and if they don't get what they want, they don't get their payouts by November 2, which is Thursday, they're going to start releasing things. Who knows what's going to happen? So, unfortunately, those folks are alive and well. Why don't we talk about some good news? Over at CISA, They maintain an online catalog of computer exploits that hackers are known for observing and paying attention to and utilizing to hack in and do bad things. Well, they announced to the lawmakers here in the U.S. Just last week that the amount of attacks utilizing the things from this catalog is going down. Now, these known exploits, they publish this catalog so that government agencies specifically can make sure that all their systems are patched. And apparently, it's having an impact. So go check out that list if you want to keep your systems safe too. Now, one group that maybe is not paying attention to this is France's government. Unfortunately, the government which oversees information system security shared some dire news. Another Russian group of hackers have help themselves to a healthy dose of sensitive French information. They revealed that Russia's APT-28, that bear logo is their thing, well, that they've leveraged several known vulnerabilities and zero-day exploits in its hacks, and they have captured information and infiltrated critical infrastructure, academic and think tank groups all across France. So that's not a good one. And unfortunately is something that is going to unravel here for the foreseeable future. So it's all about, unfortunately, what's happening in cyber. And while we're talking about cyber, which is our topic for the day, I get to introduce to you my guest today from one of my favorite companies in the world, Microsoft. My first part of the career here at Rackspace, first 10 years dedicated completely to enabling Microsoft solutions here at Rackspace. But my guest, Sameh Younis. Now, Sameh is a senior solutions architect. He lives up in Canada. Mentioned he was not here and part of the U.S. And he's joined us here today to talk about all the scary things happening in cyber, as if my news wasn't enough. So Daniel, let's bring Sameh on up onto the page. Hey, Sameh,
Hey,
welcome to the program. I'm so glad that you're here.
thank you, Jeff, and hey everyone. I'm Sameh Younis. Coming from from Toronto in Canada. Um, so happy to be here with you.
So glad that you are here. Now, I was complaining earlier that the temperatures in San Antonio were chilly, and I'm going to give you this to you in Fahrenheit, but we were down in the 40s yesterday, even this morning. Low 40s for us. Dare I ask what it is in Toronto today?
It's about the same, a bit less these days, but it's gonna get worse here.
Yeah. Yeah, I would imagine it's going to get much worse over time. Well, Sameh, you've been making your career inside of cyber for a little while. Why don't you give us a little background on your career?
Sure, happy to do so. So yeah, my career. So yeah, 3 decades, just in IT and consulting services, mostly deeply integrated with the Microsoft ecosystem all along. Over the past 16 years, I spent those at Microsoft. And when I started my career, I started more on the software side, moving towards supporting middleware, and then into infrastructure, and finally ended up in cybersecurity. So I've seen it all. I've been through the whole 9 yards in IT, and that gave me good breadth of knowledge across different systems that really helped me a lot with cybersecurity. At this stage, I'm security solution architect in the Americas Global Partner Solutions team. We call it GPS. So work with partners across the Americas, and in supporting them and enable them to bring the best of our Microsoft security products to their customers.
That is fantastic, and I love that you came from a programming and a systems background. You know, I've worked with tons of different security folks over the years, and everybody finds their way into security through different methods. But a lot of them I've found come through a similar trajectory that you have, and that is having that understanding of coding, having the understanding of infrastructure, I think is vital in not only where you are now and helping to architect solutions, but also for those that are, boots on the ground, if you will, who are helping to prevent and then remediate when an issue happens, because it doesn't happen in a vacuum. It happens to code. It happens to infrastructure. So having that deep understanding there, I think is vital to it. Now, our goal here today, Sameh, is as we springboard off of this theme of Halloween and scary and spooky, is to dig into some of the different aspects of cybersecurity and how the bad guys are trying to do the bad things that they do. Now, we say that it's spooky and it's scary because a lot of times this happens. It's not like you've left your house and you go away for a week on holiday and you come back and things have been ransacked. So that it's happening, when you're not there. A lot of cybersecurity stuff is happening right under companies' noses while they're sitting there doing the things that they do. The hackers are lurking right there in the background doing different things. In some cases, doing bad things. In some cases, trying to taunt you to allow them in, like through phishing. Why don't you talk about phishing for a second? That is one of the areas where I think most companies are getting bit, where the bad guys are finding their front door in.
Yeah, phishing. Phishing is the art of digital deception. That's how we call it.
Great way to put it. I'm writing that down.
Yeah. Phishing is a technique in cyber attackers impersonate a trustworthy sources to trick individuals. So trick them into revealing their sensitive data. The approach often involves crafted emails that seems very genuine. Um, but mostly these emails either include a link to or an attachment that have malicious code. So that's as simple as it gets. But it doesn't stop there into emails, because there are so many different types of phishing.
Any
But
way they can reach out and try to trick somebody.
yeah, any way they can deceive you into believing into an action that you would normally take. That's how it works.
Yeah.
So yeah, like and it's growing, and there be so many different techniques now that the attackers used. So it used to be mostly emails, but now they are moving to things that you can trust more than email, like an SMS message, for example.
I
Right.
know. I've been
So
getting a lot of those lately too.
yeah, smishing, that's what they call it now. So smishing is when this attack comes through your phone. It's in the form of regular SMS message that can be deceiving. The least I can say, and it's usually argued to do an immediate action, like just act on this now, like your account is being suspended, right? Do this now, and they say, okay, and this is about your card that starts with these numbers. But of course, these numbers, you will look into your card and say, yes, that's my
Those are
card.
my numbers. They must know
These
me.
are my
We must
numbers.
be friends.
But you don't notice that your account numbers is the last numbers, and the beginning numbers are all the same for the same credit card company, institution, country, and so forth. So having the starting numbers, it means nothing,
It means
right?
absolutely. It just means you've got a card
Yeah.
from Capital One.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
but lots of people fail to this. Like, no matter what's their education level, they
Right.
still fall victim for this type of phishing attack, and it gets worse. Like it grows from there. I'm not sure, like, if you want me to keep going on phishing
No, we're
because
good. And I think, one last thing I think I'd say about that, that Michael mentions here in the chat, Michael Dolman, is session cookie hijacking through phishing. And I think that's interesting because so much gets stored in those cookies. Cookies sound good. I love cookies. Oatmeal raisin's my favorite cookie, in case you're thinking of sending me a gift. But But cookies on the computer really hold all of that information. In fact, I was at my mother-in-law's last night solving a problem because she loves to shop at a certain online retailer. Talbot's is the name. They've had some technical issues, and they still have technical issues. But it's just her session has her going in through part that's still broken, so I had to go in and delete an individual cookie and all that sort of stuff. But if a bad guy comes in and takes over the computer, they get all of your authentication. They get to literally impersonate you on that shop and do whatever they want to do. But that's not the only bad thing going on out in the world. In fact, phishing, once somebody is able to digitally deceive you into clicking the link or providing the information, can absolutely lead to ransomware. Why don't you define ransomware for us?
Absolutely. And just before I get to ransomware, it all starts from phishing, like where ransomware comes from, right? It's the type of attack, and but it starts with phishing, whether it's through email or text messages. So you first have to protect yourself against this, and a best way of protection is to use um, an EDR system, or even like any system that protects. I don't want to talk about specific products here, but really like within the Microsoft Defender, as part of our Microsoft 65 suite. This is the best way of protecting, whether through the Defender for Office 365, which will be able to detect these type of things in emails and even display messages and to users about it, or Defender for Endpoint, which is your ultimate protection that runs on your machine. And when it comes to phishing, again, like there is all of these different types of phishing, different fancy names for depending on the target, depending on their delivery mechanism, but they all end up with a ransomware or a type. This is just kicking in a ransomware attack. And a ransomware is a type of malicious software that can get into your network, start encrypting the victim's company, like on computer and servers, encrypt all the files there, they lock them out of the system, and the attackers then demand a ransom from the victim, and most of the times in the form of asking them to deposit cryptocurrency into a crypto wallet. So that's how they get. And when they do that, they in fact send you the decryption for that.
Hopefully they
And
do. Hopefully they
yeah,
do.
yeah, most
You
of the
got to
time
trust
actually
the
they
bad
do,
guys,
because
but
they want to build credibility,
that's
believe it
right.
or not, so
But
that
but
the
this,
next victim can do that.
but deceiving an individual is not the only way that a bad guy can come into the environment. Of
Oh,
course, through digital deception, through phishing, and phishing. I mean, think about it. They're just literally just launching emails and text out into the world, hoping somebody's going to bite. You're putting a worm on the end of the hook, hoping that some fish, some gullible guppy is going to come along and bite. And even the most innocent people and smart people will fall for it from time to time, which is why it's important to have great tools like Windows Defender and all of the things that come with it. But another way they find a way in is there are so many devices in our lives that are connected to our networks, whether that's in our homes or whether that's in our offices, that help us just be more efficient and do the things we do. All the lights in this fancy room come on by a touch of a button. Now, if that device gets taken over, it's network connected. We call those zombie devices. It's another way into the network, isn't it, Sammy?
absolutely. And this is the worst one, actually.
Oh,
But again, like this is because of the weak nature of how it gets there, and I'll talk more about zombie devices. But before I leave the phishing and ransomware, I think one of the important thing is to train the end users, because if you
yeah.
provide the right training, if you provide the right simulations, so this will help build awareness, and
Mhm.
you will be able to identify those users within your company that are vulnerable to such things, because you're going to simulate, and if they don't act properly, you're going to catch this. So running attack simulations are really good within a corporation. And again, like within the Defender suite, for example, you can run a attack campaign for phishing campaign, for
Mhm.
example, and you'll be able to identify your user. You can provide them with targeted training. That's all included in the platform. Now, now, zombie devices is a bit different because zombie devices are compromised computers, but may
Mhm.
not be your computers that you always think about, because it really target most of the time IoT devices, like Internet
Right.
of Things devices, what we call, simply speaking, smart devices.
Yeah.
And we have smart devices everywhere that's
Yeah. That
connected
light
to
bulb
the
right back there.
internet.
All those lights right back there.
Exactly. So all automation systems, security cameras, TVs, and you will find those in a corporate network. You walk into any company, you will find the first thing in the reception there is a TV that's connected to the internet. How it gets connected to the internet? Through the company's Ethernet, right?
Mhm.
So this is really what's scary, but it doesn't stop there, because nowadays where lots of people work from home, and these are include like developers, include executives, include administrators, um, and home devices are also like the most vulnerable, and the highest risk of device is your home router,
Oh yeah.
right? Your home router, this is the highest risk. Like, how many of people on this call have changed their passwords on their home router in the past year? Right? And I know that we
I'm
are
sorry,
dealing
we're
here
having a
with some
connection problem,
professional.
and I can't hear you very well right now, so I can't feel, bad that maybe I might not have done what you're talking about.
That's what that's what I guess. Like, and like, and this is again, like, I think in the corporate environment we focus much on protecting the corporate environment, protecting the end user devices, protecting the corporate network. We may educate our users on some of things like phishing by running simulated attacks and things like that, but we forget to train them on how to secure their real work environment, how to secure their home network, their routers. So a bit of education in this space will really help, um, because again, like, the user home becomes his work environment now, so it
Right.
needs to be protected as the home environment. Of course, like, you will not be able to have full control, but a bit of education is always helpful.
It's huge. It's huge. We spend here at Rackspace the whole month is of course we lean into the cyber aspect of it. All sorts of training. In fact, the training for this week really was around securing your home routers and that sort of thing. But as we start to get towards the end of our time, there's one other area that really doesn't necessarily have to do with patching your devices, changing a password, but simply talking about social engineering. Think about that. Just literally talking to an individual and getting them to give up some information. We've seen some pretty high profile issues of this lately. Think about the MGM hack of just a few months ago. That truly was just an individual, a bad guy, who got onto LinkedIn, found somebody who worked for the organization, called the help desk, impersonated them, got their password reset, and the rest is sadly history.
Yes, for sure. And this type of attack, it's focused on manipulating the human element.
Yeah.
So this
The
is not
weakest
like
link, quite
attacking a
honestly.
device. This is the weakest link. Yeah, like like I've seen one of these movies where you have like a very huge bank safe, but they said that the safe is as strong as as the person who's holding the key, right? So
So
at the
true.
end of the
So
day,
true.
yeah, it's at the end of the day, it's the individual. It's all about the individual. So with social engineering, it exploit the human psychology.
Yeah.
So rather than the regular technical hacking techniques that used to gain access to computers or to smart devices, it's about manipulating people into being able to perform and actions that normally done under pressure. So let me give you like a real life example here.
Please.
So an individual like or attacker can calls a support desk posing as a senior executive, for example, and using bits of information found on social media and the company website. Like remember, like we have all of our information mostly spread out there. So if someone is targeting to get the most information about a company and about an executive in the company, they can get quite some information about them. And then when they call the help desk, and of course, this person will be like a person of authority, or trying to act as the person of authority, and is trying to convince the support representatives that they got their login credential lost, and they forgot their password, and they want to reset their password because they have an important meeting, or anything along these lines. And the way they talk, and they talk like a very authoritative person, and they're trying to use this and add like psychological pressure on the support guy. And the support guy, sometimes under this pressure, they forget, or sometimes they may skip their normal processes, just trying to make this person
Just trying
happy,
to help the
right?
boss. Yeah, get him out of
Exactly,
a bind.
exactly. So that's also can be part of the training, by the way, like especially people in this position, like a help desk, for example, position, or a support position. And like they need to get trained on this. You need to run real simulations with
That's
them
right.
on this stuff. They need to make sure that even the CEO calls them, right, they have a standard procedures, whether they have a callback procedure, or any other authentication procedures that they have to follow. So it's important that they understand that no matter what, they have to follow their standard procedures. You cannot just skip procedure because they think that they're under pressure from the boss.
They really are. Yep. Well, Sameh, thank you so much for taking your time to be on the program today. Obviously, you know a lot about this, folks. I would encourage you to go out and connect with Sameh out on the LinkedIn's. If we're not already friends on LinkedIn, come find me as well. But Sameh's really there. He's over there. He's really the brains behind the operation. So go check in with him. Sameh, thank you so much for being a part of the program, and I hope you enjoy your Halloween today. Hope you get some candy.
Thank you, Jeff. I will eat it all. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, folks, I hope you enjoyed this episode today. There's obviously just scratching the surface on what's happening in and around cyber, but I do want to encourage you to make sure that you educate yourself and stay very aware. Now, lastly, before I let you go, next week, going to be a little bit different. You know that we come live here on 8:30 a.m. Central Time every single week. Well, you know what? We're going to have a little pre-chat next week. I'm going to go live 5, 10, 15, 30, not 30 minutes, that'd be crazy talk, but about 10 minutes early or so. And I've got a few things to share with you. I might even be down in the kitchen making coffee. Who knows what I'm going to be doing, but I won't be in this seat. So I hope you will maybe set your alarms just a little bit early and join in for the chat, because it's a time for us to visit a little bit. So that's next week. And I've got an incredible guest who's going to come in from India. Love the global topics. And it's going to be our Women in Tech Tuesday, and it's going to be an incredible episode to hear how technology has changed one woman's life in India in an incredible way. So with that, folks, there it is. I want to thank you for being a part of the program today. I want to thank the producer, Daniel, and Megan, having all the help behind the scenes. Dagan, by the way, Dagan, I've given you guys a new name, but Daniel is the king of spotting phishing and reporting it to our security, by the way, except for 5. So folks, have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next week. Don't forget to tune in early.